Hey guys, this is Angelo Cisco from O'Hare CrossFit. Just giving you some insight and some initial thoughts about 16.1. I'm pretty excited to see something different this year, especially with the longer time duration and the overhead lunges. So we got a 20-minute AMRAP, 25 overhead walking lunges, 25 feet, 95 pounds for the guys, 65 for the ladies, 8 bar facing burpees, 25-foot lunge, and then 8 chest to bar pull-ups. I have some scale stuff up here too. Okay, so first things first, considerations here, I would go just with really comfy gym shoes, something that you're used to playing around and moving around in. I think definitely knee sleeves for this one, especially because your knee needs to touch the ground every time. I think it's really essential. I'm up in the air right now about grips for this workout. The volume of chest to bar pull-ups is not so extreme that you're going to be holding on for a long period of time. We're going to talk more about ways you could break stuff up and possible options. So it's kind of up to you. If you're a real easy ripper, you might have to go with the chest with the grips. So for the setup, right? I think they had a really good setup for the video or for the demo or the announcement. You need a lot of room for this one. It's not ideal that, like, you know what I mean, that you could set this up in every gym, but I think you're gonna have to try to find a setup that looks similar to this, the rig, 25 feet out and back, especially for your regional athletes. This is going to be tough, so you may need someone film it for you, walk around with you, make sure the clock's in there the whole time. It's going to be a difficult setup. I know there's some apps out now that have your clock in there the whole time, but I think there's a lot of different viewing points, making sure your legs over the line, your knees hitting the lunge, chest hitting the bar, all those kind of things like that. So I think you're going to need somebody to film this one for you, okay? Your nutrition. This is a 20-minute workout, so I think eating a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours before, something you're really used to eating, nice relaxed stomach, just something that you could just move through and feel good with, and not feeling anything upsetting your stomach is definitely key. I have a lot of stuff on the warm up here, so we're going to go through that one. I would say with some light zone 1 work, your Z1 work, just to warm up your body, get your core temperature up a little bit, maybe 5 to 10 minutes of an easy airdyne. Since we're going with some single leg stuff, I thought I could throw in some single leg jump rope, some single leg skipping, maybe 50 to 100 per leg, just to get used to that one leg, that kind of bouncing, building up some flexibility in that ankle, and also still warming up your nervous system. As far as mobility perspectives go, I would say the ankles are definitely huge for this one with all the lunges. Your hips, especially your hip flexors, with all the lunges, chest to bars, and burpees. I think you're making sure that your hip flexors are going to be really open is going to be key for everybody. Your thoracic spine, your lats, and your shoulders. This is definitely huge with the overhead positions of the chest to bar pull-up and you keeping that bar locked out above your head. From an activation perspective, I would definitely take a look at your glutes to make sure that you're able to engage them pretty well in the lunges especially, so maybe some monster walks or banded X walks and things of that nature. Definitely some TheraBand or crossover symmetry, whatever you prefer to get your shoulders open and ready to go. I'm a big fan of this. This is a serratus anterior single arm pull down. So you just get a band nice and tight and just pull down here, sort of like that bodybuilding move. Believe it or not, guys, a lot of stability comes from your serratus anterior being set up well, especially for the pull-ups and that overhead position. So if you get that activated and firing well, I think it's going to be really important for this positions of this workout. And then I like scap pull-ups just to make sure that you're ready for their pull-ups. From there, I would take you a little more further into movement prep. For lunges, I would mess around with, obviously some walking lunges and things of that nature, but I'd be working the pressing, kind of feeling out positions, things that feel good, getting your shoulders to move around and doing some presses with some pauses and stuff like that. For the chest to bars, I would do some jumps to hollows just to make sure that your jumping position to get to the bar is really accurate. Some kip swings just to help your kip, just to tighten that up a little bit, make sure that's in order. And then I'm a big fan of doing some strict chest to bar pull-ups. I think a lot of times athletes discount the importance of this, but opening up that upper back and having that range of motion open during a strict capacity, then when you have to kip, it makes it much easier and much more fluid to get to those positions instead of worrying about having to overarch and overextend when you start getting too fatigued or because you're lacking that mobility in your pull-up. For set 1, the warm-up for this, guys, because it's 20 minutes, I wouldn't say it needs to be that much and that thorough because you're not going to be hitting that all-out gear maybe to the last minute anyways, and if you get to that point, 20 minutes is a long time. So for the warm-up, I would do overhead walking lunges with an empty bar, 4 burpees, overhead walking lunges, 4 chest to bars, just to kind of feel out the movements, feel out your transitions and things of that nature. I would then I would move into the regular weight or your prescribed weight. Obviously this weight is not that heavy for us. So I would do 1 or 2 rounds just to feel out my pacing, just to make sure I was on point. I'd be timing these rounds, guys, just to make sure to know where we were at. Emily Abbott got just about 11 rounds, a little over 11 rounds. They're roughly around 90 to 145 in the rounds. So I would think somewhere around there, depending on what you're shooting for. But I think doing a round at the workout pace that you're kind of going to be feeling, just so you know what to expect from this. Okay, so that's where I would feel about this workout as far as prep and setup and things of that nature. Some things to consider. Small reps plus a long workout usually equals a trap for most athletes. You need to realize that 8 burpees, 8 chest to bars, they're going to go pretty quick, okay? The lunges, depending on your limb length, obviously are going to average between 7 to 9, maybe 10 steps, depending on how you step. So I would make sure that you realize that in the beginning, you want to form a pace that's more sustainable than something that you're just going to have that critical drop off with. I would rather see you guys pick up pace with that last 2 to 3 minutes left than you start a little fast and fade away. So just make sure that you realize smaller reps, longer workout usually equals a trap. Next thing, chest to bar breakups if you're a little bit weaker here. I'm a big fan. If you're weaker at the chest to bar pull-up, some of you need to be figuring that, 8 per round, and you're going to get into 10 to 12 rounds. You're looking at almost 100 pull-ups. If doing 100 chest to bar pull-ups, with most CrossFit athletes at this stage in the game have done in a workout, usually fries you out, and 8s is too big of a number. Don't be afraid to start breaking up too early. I think breaking the chest to bar pull-ups is probably one of the few movements that I would say for sure is no problem to break up. Just right there, you get right back on the bar. Make sure you're not jumping too high with that setup for the pull-up, but still breaking it up doesn't seem like too big of a deal compared to breaking up the lunges, because then you have to pick up the bar again and all that stuff. For the overhead, for the lunges, I would definitely say go more narrow grip so you're structurally more stable. Try not to get out too wide. Play around with your grip. Usually your regular jerk or pressing grip. I wouldn't go too narrow where it's uncomfortable, but something that you feel fairly comfortable with doing. Last but not least, my other tip to consider is doing the burpee into a lunge, a step into a lunge, and then jumping over the bar. Rich Froning did this extremely well in the thruster burpee workout he did against Sam Briggs, Jason Khalipa, Annie a couple years ago. So you need to take a look at that, but it's basically doing a burpee, stepping up into a lunge with your lead foot, and then transferring that momentum right over into the jump. Your 2 feet should meet just fine right before the jump and get you right over there. I'm pretty excited about this one. This is just pure work. I think this is one of those workouts that's long, and people aren't really used to that, especially the last 2 years in the Open. We haven't gone this long, so I'm really looking to see when some scores get put up for this. I can see a lot of people getting up in that 12 to 13 round area if they're just really, really efficient in the lunge and moving through everything. So that's all I got for you guys for 16.1. I'm going to do this early in the morning, so if I notice anything different, I'll be sure to put out some stuff, but here's my initial thoughts. Thanks for watching.